Hi, this is Dawn of Stamptildawn.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous fall card. We're going to use Saffron ink, Pomegranate, Fern, and Saphire, and this is our new style of stamp pads. All of our stamp pads come in this magnetic style now, and I am using this stamp set. It's C1727 Grateful Heart, and it's the Cardmaking Essentials stamp set. So it has butterfly, thank you, hello friend. It also has thankful, grateful, blessed, this great wood grain, and we're going to be using these leaf stamps and this little sprig right here for this card. So I've already put my stamps on blocks, and we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start with a 5" by 3 3/4 inch mat that we're going to stamp on. And I like to just take my ruler and kind of put it in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're just using this as a guide to know where to place your stamps. And then just take a pencil and draw a couple lines on there. So now we have some lines to kind of follow when we're stamping. I'm going to start with the solid stamp. And what I do is start with the saffron. I'm always going to start with the lightest color when you do this. And this is called stamp rolling. So I stamp it on my saffron, and then I kind of roll it, just roll the edges in the pomegranate. And then you can see it gets that nice variation of color on there. Now you don't have to clean it every time right before you go into it, especially because when you clean your stamps, sometimes they're a little wet. And then if they don't dry enough, then you ink them again, you might get a little splotchy color. So I'm just going to stamp it off on this scratch paper, get most of the ink off of it so it doesn't transfer into my other stamp pad, and then ink it again in the saffron and roll it in the pomegranate. So I'll do this a few more times, put a few more leaves on here. I'll put some on the bottom as well. You can see I'm not spending a lot of time really worrying about how I'm rolling it or what areas, and each time it just comes out just a little bit different. Now I'm going to go back in with the outline stamp that's for the leaf. And sometimes I have a hard time doing this on camera, lining it up. Let me see if I can move it a little closer to myself without sticking my head in the camera. So I might not get this perfect, but even if it's off a little bit, it still looks really good. So this just kind of adds a little dimension to your leaf, adds the veins to it and a little bit of an outline. Some people like to stamp the outline first and then stamp the solid. It's just kind of personal preference. I always tell people every time you get a new stamp set, stamp it on scratch paper, experiment with it to see what works best for you. Now I'm going to go back in, and I'm using the little fern leaf with Fern, our color here. And so I'm going to ink it, and I like to take my first dark one and really kind of have it go on top of one of these leaves. It adds some depth and dimension there, and then I'm going to stamp it again without re-inking it. And again, this gives it some variation on here. You can do it a couple times. If you want to stamp right off the edge, just put a little scratch paper there. I'll go ahead and move my scratch paper underneath here so I can do it a couple more times. Now, if you do stamp, so if I stamp this stamp and it's full strength and I stamp it like this off this edge, I don't want to stamp it again on here because look, it's going to have this line in here from where that edge of that paper was. So you just want to be wary of that when you're doing this technique. And now I'm going to go in, because I want to do my saying in Saphire, I thought I'd add a little bit of Saphire with this little sprig in here. So I'll just put a couple of them in here, kind of bring in the blue so that my saying looks like it belongs with it. And that's looking pretty good there. So you can leave it white like this. I also like to kind of like frame it in. So I just take one of our round sponges and cut it into quarter wedges. And then I'm going to sponge the edges of it here. Kind of frames it in. It makes it makes it more rich, I think, for this. Okay, and then now the next step is just to layer it all together. And you have, our cardstock is two-sided, so you can pick which color, which side you like best for it, how deep or intense you want the color. And then this is a piece of paper from the Grateful Heart paper pack, which that's how I chose my colors. I looked at what colors were used in the Grateful Heart paper pack, and then I pulled those colors to use for my stamping. Then I've got this little strip right here. We'll put a saying on it. So I'm just going to attach it first, since I'm already gluing other items. And I have thank you or hello friend, but I think I'm going to use hello friend on this one. Actually, I used hello friend on my other sample. We'll use thank you. Very indecisive. And so pull this a little closer so I can see. So I put thank you on there. And then I pre-stamped and cut out a few of these leaves so you wouldn't have to watch me cutting them. And I didn't want to cut out the fern. That would be kind of a pain to cut out. So I decided I'll just stamp the fern once on here and then layer these other leaves on top. So I kind of like this one being the back one. Do that. And then I'll use a little piece of foam tape. This is the foam tape that's left over when you use the shaker cards. You get all this foam tape in it, and I like it because along the edges it's not full pieces, it's smaller pieces, which work really good for something like this little leaf. And take off the backing here. Add that. I'll get a card base. Our card bases are amazing. You get 50 of them in a package, and it's really economical to buy them that way. I like to use my bone folder to really crease them down nicely, and then now I can just add this to my card base. Now you can stop here. This looks like a gorgeous card. It's ready to go. But if you like to step it up and add a little bit more, you can always take our gold shimmer brush and do a little bit of gold on top of it. This is just adding just a little bit of shimmer to it. You can do it like that. You can also go along the edges here. And I don't know how much this will show up in the camera, but it does kind of just give this little gold shimmer along the edge. I'll try, I don't know if it'll show up at all. I'll try tilting it to see. If not, you'll just have to believe me that it adds a little something. And then sometimes I even like to open up the card and put a couple little stamps that I used on the outside. It's kind of like a nice little surprise when you open it up and the inside has something going on too. So this is kind of nice on there. As you can see, you can keep going and going, and you can then do the envelope. So there are two. They're pretty similar. I just used different sayings on them. And I hope that you enjoyed it, and you can whip up a lot of these. These would be great to send out as little thank you gifts this time of year, or maybe even do 5 or 6 of them, put them with envelopes, tie a ribbon around it, give it as a gift to somebody, because cards are expensive. You could spend like $4 or $5 on cards. So that's a great gift to give to somebody, a little stash of cards that saves them money and gives them a way to send thank you cards to others. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll come back with more tips soon.